Okay, so I can't remember when, but someone recently here at Flow sort of posed a question like, man, how much longer can Team USA maintain this high level of success that we're having, right? We're experiencing unprecedented success at the men's freestyle level, right? And women's for that matter. And so I've been thinking a lot about it, about how, what greatness we've been witness to, right? Jordan Burroughs, Kyle Dake, David Taylor, Thomas Gilman, Kyle Snyder, Jaden Cox, and Gable. And many of those guys, are reaching the end. We know Jordan Burroughs' end is very near, and that he's the one who has definitively said, yeah, 2024, win, lose, or draw, I'm done, right? And so we have to, at some point, start thinking about, well, who's the next generation? Who's the next group in? And you can look on paper and be like, all right, well, it is going to, we may experience some less success, potentially. But I actually believe that USA Wrestling is going to soon permanently surpass Russia as the dominant power in men's freestyle wrestling. And right now we are definitively not ahead of Russia, right? Russia is the gold standard in wrestling. They've earned that over years and years and years of success. We've been able to beat them on a couple of occasions, but by and large, it's Russia. But I think it's going to be us eventually, and us long term. And there's a reason I believe this. One, we don't actually know when these guys are going to leave. For all we know, Dake, Taylor, Kyle, Jaden, Gilman, yeah, these guys may remain another quad entirely. So I'm making a video 2023 about a situation we're not even going to be faced with until 2028. As hard as that to believe, but it would stand to reason we will lose some of those guys along the way. Either way, a story and a reason I think we are poised for an incredible level of success in USA Wrestling. And I want to go back to the US Open, where I was men's freestyle senior level had concluded, and U17s and U20s had begun. And if you don't know, the U17 tournament is maybe the most coveted tournament to win in high school wrestling. That or Super 32, who's number one. Those are the big three. And pretty much every elite high school wrestler has this U17 tournament circled. So it's a really big tournament for high school wrestling. And I'm on one mat. I can't recall if I'm calling matches or whatever. If I was not paying good enough attention, because I looked over to another mat, and it's a period break. And this is like U17, round of 16 or quarters. And these guys go to their corners. And in one corner, David Taylor is coaching his athlete. And in the other corner, Chance Marsteller coaching his athlete. Now, if you don't know, not only are these two guys two of the best wrestlers in America today, they also have very, very successful wrestling clubs. And a wrestling club that serves youth, middle, and high school wrestlers, right? And David and Chance are coaching the athletes. Now, Chance, it's interesting because the day before, he won the U.S. Open when he beat Alex Derringer, right? Punched his ticket in Final X. But Chance is coaching his guy the very next day, okay? And David Taylor, the M2 training center, I think is what it's called. I know it's called M2. It's not just his name on it. It's not just David Taylor's club. He is involved. He is a coach. And so what am I getting at? Well, one, how cool is it that that's a reality for those kids, right? And you could say, well, that's in Pennsylvania. But what I'm going to get to is the broader scene of youth, middle, high school wrestling is drastically different than it was even 10 years ago, certainly 20 years ago. And what we have and what we're experiencing now is the widespread growth of club wrestling. And you think about, to me, the gold standard for club wrestling right now over the years is Jody Strip Matters Young Guns, right? And, Spencer, Nolf, Chenzo, it's on and on and on. So many elite wrestlers have come out of this club. And it is only 20 years old that this club has been around. What am I getting at here? I'm getting to it. Let me go. I have the mic now, so maybe it's making me, bloviate a little more, but please indulge me because I think all of this has merit. And another little anecdote from the U.S. Open. I'm watching. Oh, I should have wrote his name down. Kid that beat Bo Bassett from California at U17s. I'm watching that match. I'm standing there, and Zeke Jones, head coach at Arizona State, he kind of walks by me after the match happens. He's like, the 3 best wrestlers in California are all at this club. They're all at this club. And I'm like, holy cow. Well, whose club? It's Daniel Cormier's club, right? So what we have are the former best or current best wrestlers in America who are saying club coaching is something I want to do because one, and this is probably where it starts, they love coaching. They want to have an impact. They probably don't want to be dealing with like coaching a full-time college team and everything goes with that. And two, there's a financial viability about it where you can start a club and you don't need 1,000 kids for it to make sense financially for you, right? David and Stellar and all these other clubs, they're doing well, right? They're able to sustain these coaches and they have staff and they have facilities. It's a very, very good thing. And so what you have now, and I did a little straw poll, just the guys at Flow who all wrestled, what was the club scene like when you were coming up? And they're either my age or younger, most of them. They're like, oh, there was really no clubs where I was from. And we're not talking about like, see, I look at everything from my lens. I'm from middle nowhere, Virginia. There's like basically no wrestling at all. So like for there not to be a club there is not all that surprising. But he asked Kozak. Kozak's like, he's from, Michigan. He's like, there weren't really clubs. And Bray, Colorado, no, there weren't clubs. It was like high schools. And so the club thing is just so very new, right? And now, so not only do you have clubs everywhere, which enable kids to wrestle year round, which just on its own is inherently good, inherently better that kids have the opportunity to wrestle and train year round should they choose to do so. That is good. But what accelerates it and just pours gas on the fire of just a glut of talent that's going to be coming through the high school, college, and international scene in the next 5-10 years plus is the fact that some of the best coaches and wrestlers in America have clubs. David Taylor has a club. Chance Marshall, Ben Askren, Daniel Cormier, Brandon Paulson, Jared Lawrence, right? Go to Valiant, Angel Cejudo. You have all these clubs with all these high level former wrestlers or current wrestlers and something. So imagine like a comparison. Imagine the level of improvement because in football, Jerry Rice isn't coaching middle school and youth and high school football players year round for a profession basically. LeBron James isn't doing that. Isn't coaching a middle school team in California, right? Not in a full-time capacity. Whereas that's what we have. Our LeBron Jameses and our, Jerry Rices, if they're not coaching collegiately, they're coaching at the youth level. So what does that all mean? Well, a foundation is being laid for these kids that is so tremendous. They are so far ahead technically. And you go to these tournaments, and it's easy for me to say anecdotally because the kids do blow me away how great they are. But that's just my opinion. So I ask around, I ask these, like, how much better are high school kids now than 10 years ago? They're like, oh, it's night and day. It is night and day how much better these kids are getting. And then we think about the fact that 10, 15 years ago, that's when the David Taylors and the Dakes, the Burroughses, et cetera, on and on, that's when they were in high school. So can you imagine, one, how many more kids are going to be exposed to so much better coaching? And that volume is going to go to high school and then college and then the international scene. So we're just going to see, it's a numbers game really when you think about it. And it's not just that we have, there's pockets in Pennsylvania that are good because you got Young Guns and Stellar Trained and M2 and Quest, et cetera, et cetera. It's all over. You go to Wisconsin, you've got AWAs. You can't throw a ball without hitting an AWA somewhere in Wisconsin. Minnesota's got Pinnacle. You go out west, you've got Cormier's. Down in Arizona, Valiant. Georgia, Compound. There's great clubs everywhere you look. You go to Iowa, you got Seabolt, Big Game, et cetera. I know there's some other great clubs that should be probably mentioned there, just not coming to my mind right now. But it's why I think we're going to be poised. These kids are getting better and better. And it's a reason you see more and more true freshmen are going to be able to come in and compete right away, because while there's always going to be a physical maturity gap that's made up in their 18, 19, 20, 20th, years, like that's just human science. But the amount of technique these guys are going to be bringing into college, that's why you're going to see more true freshmen have success. That's why you got to take a redshirt year just to get used to getting beat down by room guys before you can have that impact. I think that's going away more because of the level. And it's only going to accelerate because clubs are only getting more prevalent. Because if you're an elite college wrestler, let's say you're a couple-time All-American, maybe even a national champion, your opportunities, if you want to be a coach, you got to find your way onto a staff somewhere. You're probably starting as a volunteer assistant, okay? And that's a living, but it's like, man, you're scratching, trying to get on the full-time staff so you can one day be a head coach. It's a long path. You could, right now, if you're a college coach or college wrestler, and you want to go start a club, you can do that. You can go have a club, go to an area that doesn't have a big club scene, or go to an area that has underserved wrestlers. You can start a club. It's a real viable option. You don't have to grind out to be a Division I coach, because there's not a ton of opportunities there. There's only so many teams. There's only so many jobs, and only so many people leave the profession every so often. So it's tough to get in. So this is a great way for us to keep some of our best coaches. And I know this is sort of a roundabout way of saying, but from a numbers perspective, I think the best years for USA Wrestling, as crazy as that may sound, are still ahead of us.